Ani, bonjour, kwe, tanzi, scano. Hello there. It's Catherine from Moonstarlodge and Brian, the technical grand wizard of Moonstarlodge, and we're coming to you from South Central Ontario, Canada, with a reading for the week of December 8th to 14th. Not a lot astrologically happening, but as you may remember if you listened to last week's video, it is a time to include the grandmother of Becomes Her Vision with the current grandmother of Gives Praise. So in preparing for today's reading, I actually took a couple days and worked through decks and channeled and doused and all those things for myself, and have come up with a lot of Yule decks and Christmassy decks and decks about light for the darkest time of the year. One of the decks reminded me that in the old pagan traditions, this is midwinter on winter solstice. So it's not the beginning of winter as we see it in the West. I like to think of it that way. That just means we're getting past this messy weather faster, but it's more than that. It's more about the balance. Anyway, I will show you the decks now, and these will be the same decks for the next week, which is the 15th to the 21st, and in fact winter solstice. So we have the Seasons of the Witch Yule Oracle, and this is, as always, still by LorraineAnderson and Juliet Diaz. The White Light Oracle, sorry, wrong camera, boop. White Light Oracle. This is by Alana Fairchild. I have a lot of Alana decks, but I don't bring a lot of them into my readings, not sure why. The Secret Language of Light by Denise Jarvie. She is also part of the writing team for this deck called the Tarot of Light with Tony Carmine Salerno. He did the artwork for Denise. A Christmas Tarot. This is by whom? I've forgotten. This is by Dinah Roseberry and illustrated by Christine Bennett. That's a majors only deck. Lots of ghosts. Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot by Juliet Diaz. The Yuletide Tarot. Don't bring that out very often. By Aaron O'Leary Brown and Christopher. That's the art is by Aaron O'Leary Brown, and this is by Christopher Hughes. The Ancestors are by, let me see, it's by arcantum.com. His name has gone out of my head, and it's the Tarocchi, the ancient Italian Tarocchi. And finally, the Biblical Tarot. This comes with a little booklet. I've not used it in a reading online before. I've used it in readings for clients, but they've come out with some larger expanded books describing how to use it for purposes, and a new shadow book, how to work with the shadow and the Biblical Tarot. So, before we get to the reading, I just want to remind you that as of December 4th, we are able to work with the final grandmother, becomes her vision. She is the guardian of transformation and transmutation, the keeper of the emergence of spirit into physical form, the mother of all chemical changes and rites of passage into wholeness, the guardian of personal history, becoming and myth. Guardian of personal history, becoming, and myth. She teaches us how to become our visions and our own wholeness, how to release the old self and step into the realized dream, how to honor the process that brought us through the changes and transformation, how to mark the rite of passage into wholeness and celebrate the vision we have become. She teaches us how to be the truth. She is a shapeshifter, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, she is not present until the 13th moon cycle, but we don't have one this year. And so she is with us between the 4th through to December 21st, which is winter solstice. The new moon will have happened on the 19th. So with that new moon, we morph into talks with relations. Anyway, enough of that for now. Let's put that over there. So I'm just going to get the glasses back on because I am blinder than the proverbial bat, the blind old bat, something like that. And have to have coffee for this one. As you may remember, some of you anyway, I was ordained as a spiritualist minister to work with them for a number of years. It was the closest faith base I could get a license with that worked along with ancestors, connecting with ancestors, as my indigenous background would have me do. And this is in the years before it was legal to be to do indigenous ceremony in public. So after the Meech Lake Accord in 1992, things opened up, and Brian and I were married actually this week. This is 30 years ago. So we transferred my license to Wolf Island for 28 years, and now the license is with Moonstar, as the legalities and openness to indigenous traditions and ceremonies has happened. So it's allowed me to take on an interfaith perspective, because a lot of indigenous people still want to do very traditional ceremonies, but they've also perhaps been taken under the wing of a faith-based group that they're comfortable with. So being an interfaith minister has opened me up to some beautiful traditions from around the world, and hopefully that's reflected to some degree in this reading. Anyway, here we go. We have, this is the LorraineAnderson and Juliet Diaz deck on the Winter Tarot, and then we have one each of almost all the other decks. So our week starts with the Winter Witch, and this is the High Priestess in other decks. We are holding sacred knowledge. We are bringing down and alchemizing sacred knowledge with knowledge and expertise in our own wisdom traditions. And there's a depth, a very great depth with this card. It's interesting to me that I'm sorry, this is the Magician. This is the Magician card. So the Magician is the one carrying, alchemizing in the elemental form. We are capable of creating and manifesting anything we need. We have all the elements at our disposal. We are able to move forward in any direction simply by embodying the thought as if chase nothing. Don't keep checking to see if the thing you're trying to manifest has happened. That destroys it. Just acceptance and visualize it there. That's the gift of the Magician. Yes, when they're naughty magicians, they can, do bad things and sleight of hand, but this is in the upright position. And it's clarified by the High Priestess, Le Papessa, in ancient decks. Her archetype is as the High Priestess doing what I started to say with respect to the Magician. The Magician is a very open, external, yang energy. The High Priestess is very yin energy, and she keeps her knowledge and her cards close to her chest. She is a keeper of deep knowledge and understands the yin and yang, the light, the dark, the depth of the ancient, but also knows what's coming in the future. So the powerful punch of these two cards sets off an important week to me. This is sit up and pay attention, take notice of what's coming. It's followed by the Four of Winter Wands. So this is a celebration time, a completion. The Four of Wands in Rider-Waite can mean a marriage, but it's a celebration. It's a connection that's positive and is the success to the end of a journey that was started with the Ace, the choices made with the Two, the seeing, the fulfilling of the direction. Whether the direction was the journey or the evolving relationship, but certainly it's a success. There's also yin and yang imagery in this in a subtle way. It's clarified by the Six of Wands or Six of Stars in this deck. This is very much a success. This is intimate success at a small, private, personal level. This is public success, and it's recognizing that the community acknowledges what we are bringing as far as our journey is going so far in this week. Excuse me. I needed a successful coffee hit there. It's followed by the new moon. The new moon was on the 4th, but this is the moon card. So this is all about the excitement of talking with the mystic. For me personally, the moon is my card. It's relative to Pisces. It's relative to what I do. It's part of my name, my spirit name. It is connecting with the intuitive and trying not to be pulled off base or offline. Brain studies show us that when emotions are triggered, or fear of missing out, or the amygdala, or flight or fight responses, advertisers use this all the time. Certain colors, certain emotional triggers. And it's really easy with family and old traditions looming in our memories to get pulled out of balance. But this is telling me that the moon is going to keep us in our place of success. And it's clarified by the beatitude of sacred rapture. Now, let me get a little bit of information about this. This is a deck I've had for a long time, but it's a very deep deck. And let your true self be seen. Search for the deeper spiritual purpose and opportunity for healing beneath any conflict and suffering. If you have been in pain, this oracle brings a message of a joyful breakthrough. Your soul is growing stronger, more able to have faith in wisdom than in judgment or doubt. Commit to your spiritual path and know you are making progress, even if things seem more difficult for a time. Know that any such difficulty is part of your healing and that you will successfully move through it. Trust yourself. So this is the Divine Rapture card. So we are being supported by our guides and teachers with this, and they will keep us from falling into illusion and rather focused on the intuition that we can garner to make this healing happen. This is the Six of Winter Swords, the light at the end of a rough water journey. It's always a card of perspective. Sixes are success. It may not feel like success if you focus on what you're leaving behind rather than what you're moving forward to. Whatever those rough waters behind us represent, this is a light that's perhaps in the physical realm, but it's certainly emotional, intellectual, and physical. It's interesting to me that the clarifying card is the King of Candles, King David, from the Biblical Tarot. The statement here says, I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I have cut off all of your enemies from before you. Now I will make your name great, like the names of the greatest men on earth. That's the second chapter of Samuel. King David is an archetype to, or King David as a person, as an identity, is a wonderful representation for the King of Wands. There's nothing to fear here. Everything is out in the open. It is, the light, the fire, because it's the fire element, fire of spirit. It is in spiritus incarnate. So that light is supporting us finding a new perspective and getting out of rough waters successfully. This is the only card I asked Brian to double check whether it was in fact correct. Because this is the Six of Swords. The card that followed it is the Five of Swords. And it is often feeling bereft, feeling cut off, feeling not part of the gang, feeling not welcome. This is a home or a church, perhaps. There seems to be lightning in the sky. The winds are blowing. There's long shadows. It's easy for the weirdy thoughts to come from the past, the remembrances of times when Christmas or Hanukkah or Yule represented loss and loneliness. We don't have to feel that. It's in the past. There is success. There is light. We've got to lift our head up and see the light. Whenever I see lightning, I think of the lightning beings, and they are definitely ancestors shouting. What's interesting is the High Priestess Le Papesse, High Priestess. Shows up again from a different deck. So she is the keeper of that spiritual wisdom. That's who we need to be emulating at this time. The energy, the archetype, the persona of the High Priestess. Not feeling sorry for ourselves or feeling lost. We are not lost. The lightning beings are letting us know, lift our head and see the light. The next card here is the Four of Pentacles, and that's a full-on stability. Stability, all fours are stability, foundation, success, a sense of permanence, stability that is permanent. So I'm glad to see we go from the 6 to the 5 to the 4, and we get away from this feelings of loss. This is a stability. We have everything we need. Pentacles are earth. Earth is everything in the material world that we need. We are safe. The card that clarifies it is the Page of Good Cheer. This is the Page of Cups. This is a not so much a party archetype, but it is emotional happiness and sharing. So this is wonderful, a wonderful archetype to overlay onto this solid steadiness, because, you know, stability when it's in its negative form can be kind of stultifying, and the energy stops flowing. But this is definitely flowing up here. The last card is the Two of Winter Wands. A lot of wands in this reading. Wands are the journey. This is a new journey is being presented to most of us. Of course, this is a collective reading. So what this tells me is that with the end of the year, we will see ourselves being presented with some options, and it's time to assess those options and make a choice. The fact that it's a Wands card, a number 2, it says it's spiritually inspired, so it's karmic in nature. How you will be helped is to invoke the archetype of the Hermit. The Hermit is old and wise and seeks within for wisdom and enlightenment. Enlightenment in the dark. He's got his own light. He carries his own wisdom. We all carry our own wisdom. We all innately know what's right for us. We just have to let go of any external pressures that seek to draw us away from focusing on ourselves. I asked if there was any need for an astrological card, and it was clearly no. We need to stay focused on you. So with that, I thank you for staying to the end. I thank you and offer blessings for this time and all that we are moving through individually, in our communities, and in the world at large. I wish us all peace and serenity, which I see as something a little different. We thank you, Brian and I, for your support, your timely gifts on the coffee platform, or an e-transfer, or a hi, how are you? It's so important that you comment on the videos and like them and subscribe if you haven't. We're desperately trying to get up over 500, and I hope we can get to the point of being monetized by YouTube soon. Anyway, miigwech.